back to the Clubhouse 54 podcast. I'm Michael Little, Tyler Wax, and we have a very special guest with us today. Our first ever female on our podcast. We're very excited about that. I met her a few months ago at Clubhouse 54, and we've developed a great relationship ever since. And I would like to welcome the Director of Championship Administration with the USGA, Emily Christiansen. Emily, welcome to our podcast.
Michael, thanks, Tyler. I'm honored to be a guest. I'm especially honored to be your first female guest and looking forward to having a great conversation today.
Absolutely. So on our podcast, what we do is we like to show different stories for individuals that are involved in the game of golf or entrepreneurship that's involved in the game of golf. And you shared with me um, stories about how you used to play on Symetra Tour, which is a division of the LPGA Tour. And you have unique stories there. And if you don't mind, just start off with just how you got involved with golf and what allowed you to have your passion for the game.
Great question. How much time do we have? I could go back a long time to talk about how I got into golf, and maybe I'll just kind of start from the beginning. So very fortunate to have grown up in the Philadelphia area. I grew up playing golf at White Marsh Valley Country Club. Was just very fortunate that my dad was a golfer. He's probably about a 12 handicap if I had to guess. I'm the oldest of three children, and my brother was born when I was 7 years old. So had, 7 years of kind of alone time with my parents, and my dad, being a golfer, would just take me to the course at night after work and on the weekends. And as a little girl, I fell in love with riding in the golf cart, chasing birds on the golf course, building sandcastles. I loved wearing bows in my hair. So it was just one of the sports I was fortunate enough to learn growing up. I can't remember a time when I didn't love it and I didn't envision it as part of my future. When it came time to have to make a decision to kind of focus on one sport, I was a multi-sport athlete growing up and kind of considered other sports and focusing there. But I kind of thought to myself, okay, I can, swim back and forth in a pool all day, or, do a lot of running if I want to continue with field hockey, or I can be a golfer and I can be outside every day. And, no two shots are the same. That was something that I always loved. I loved kind of the challenge of each day practicing, being different and new. So decided, as a young teen, to really focus on the game of golf. Have had a lot of experiences with the game since, and I'm very fortunate to have had all of those. But basically, golf has been a huge part of my life since I was probably 3 years old. Like I said, I can't remember a time when it wasn't a really important part of my life. And looking back at my life, it's just been such a wonderful gift. I played junior golf at a high level and got to travel to some really cool places and meet some really cool friends, and then had the opportunity to play collegiately. I played my first year at the College of William and Mary and had a really good year there, which led me to kind of see that I wanted a more competitive program. So from there, transferred to the University of Maryland, go Terrapins, where I had 3 awesome years, made, some of the best friends of my life, and just fantastic experience. And when I graduated, wasn't ready to stop, kind of just continuing on that path of that dream that I'd had since I was a little girl. So in 2015, turned professional, was fortunate to make it through qualifying school and earn status on the LPGA Symetra Tour in the fall of 2014. So I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more, but played 4 seasons on what's now called the Epson Tour. Back then it was the Symetra Tour. And then from there, again, that feels like a different lifetime ago. Junior golf feels like a different lifetime ago, but since then have had some experience coaching, some experience in athletic administration, and now have the opportunity to really work in golf at the USGA. I feel like I have my dream role as the director of championship administration, and golf has just really touched every aspect of my life. I feel like the values of the game that we all know, honesty, integrity, a hard work ethic, those have just really been instilled in me since I was a young child, and have helped me get to where I am today. And on a personal note, I met my husband on the driving range, and it's, playing golf together is one of our favorite things to do. And now, as a mom of two little boys, my oldest son is starting to get into it. And, just seeing that kind of come full circle and thinking about how my dad raised me as a golfer. Certainly don't want to push my kids in any way, but if, they're able to enjoy the game and it's something we're able to do together as a family, I think that would be really awesome.
I have so many questions after that. Thank you for that that intro there.
Yeah, I know
So
there's a lot there.
I'm gonna go back a little bit in time with your intro and talk about junior golf. So you said you've played at a high level as a junior. So at what age did you know that you wanted to play golf, say competitively?
I honestly can't remember a time going back to my childhood where I didn't want to be competing on the LPGA tour. I'm sure my belief that I could do that likely came from my parents and my upbringing. They're both really positive and hardworking people that I think just instilled in myself and my siblings from a young age that if you want something, if you have the right attitude, and if you prepare and go after it, you can achieve whatever that you dream. So fortunate to have had, that support from a young age. But I always, again, from a young age, I wanted to be a competitor on the LPGA. Obviously, when you're 10 years old, you don't realize what goes into getting there. And also, once you're there, what that lifestyle looks like. But just am fortunate to have had that drive and the support to help me reach the level that I reached. And the game has in turn, given me so much in every aspect of my life. And I'm really thankful.
That's awesome. So were you now at White Marsh Valley, were you then, like ladies club champion at a very young age and like that helped you determine, hey, I'm really good at this and I can go further with golf than just be recreational?
Good question. I think I only won the ladies club championship once. I know I won several of the junior club championships. I think just with schedule and everything, I can't remember competing more than a couple times. I do remember, I think the first year I played, I had a decent lead. I can't remember. I was maybe like 12 or 13 years old. I'd have to go back and look, but I can remember on hole 13, I think, just having a huge blow up. I had a lead and then probably made like an 8 or 9 on the hole and kind of imploded from there. I was so nervous. And after I ended up losing to a woman that had won, several years in a row, she gave me a Bob Rotella book. And that meant a lot to me. She was kind of like, I know you're going to go really far with this game, and, kind of saw what happened to you there on the back nine. So maybe you should read this book. But, overall had a ton of support growing up at White Marsh and made some really strong relationships there. And, obviously can remember that moment. And I think I went back and won the next year and then maybe, didn't, for schedules or whatever reason, didn't have the opportunity to compete after that. But, definitely remember that moment as a funny one looking back.
Nice. That's awesome. Tyler, do you have a question?
I was just I have a lot of questions as well. Love the background. I think to kind of hear about how you were raised, with your dad on the golf course. I think we all, as parents, we all love hearing. As a parent now, I'm sure you can relate. And I think, your dad sounds like really did it the right way with you, especially in letting you kind of fall in love with the sport and all of the little things about it. I'm imagining you have a nasty bunker game since he let you play in the sand a lot. So that should tie in. But when, just a fun question, do you remember the first time you beat your dad, and how old were you, and how did he take it?
That's a good question. I can't remember exactly the first time I beat him, but I can remember the first time that we played 18 holes together at White Marsh. I think I was 10 years old, and he just kind of said, we're going to take this special opportunity and take the day to spend time together. I believe, I had a pretty young brother and sister at that point. So, him taking a day to spend time with me was really special. He, side note, is a president and CEO of a national organization. So he's very, busy. So just him making that time meant a lot. But I remember we got a caddy, and that was the first time I'd ever had a caddy, and, big treat to play 18 holes for the first time with dad, with a caddy, at age 10. So that's kind of a memory that I'll keep forever. And, from there I can kind of remember first time I broke 80. That was a big deal also at White Marsh. And now, when I got a little older and started out driving him, I think that's when we, that's when we started to have some issues. But, again, just thankful for all those memories, and certainly value them even more as a parent myself now.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's the one thing I do with my boys over at Clubhouse, and Mike knows, because we have to refill he has to refill the peanut M&Ms and the tasty cake and stuff. Is I don't. That's the only place I don't really have kind of a no limit with them. So it's anything they ask for, I just kind of let them have, because I want them to enjoy the entirety of the experience. And it sounds like your dad had a really similar approach of, when you were out there, it was just, have fun, like take it all in, enjoy and love every part of the game, because I think it's easy to lose sight of that stuff. But, when you're busy and you do take the time to go out and play as adults now, we appreciate every moment of every hole.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I saw a lot of my peers, I would say kind of my rise in the game as a player was steady. I wasn't somebody that, peaked as a young age. Certainly saw some of my peers around me, peak and make some strides quicker than I did as a teenager. And I just kind of had this belief that if I, keep enjoying it and keep working hard, I can kind of achieve, anything, as long as I'm putting the work in. And my parents were not the type to put a lot of pressure on us to succeed. It was more about, the learning and the work ethic and kind of everything else that golf taught me. And I'm thankful for the success that I had along the way.
Did you play on a high school golf team as well?
I did. I played at Mount St. Joseph Academy in Flowertown, Pennsylvania. We had 2 state championship victories when I was there, and 2 runner-up finishes as a team.
Nice.
Yeah,
it was fun.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Mike. Did you, like, playing at such a young age? I mean, hearing 10 years old, right? You played your first 18, which is amazing. I mean, that's a lot of golf for a 10-year-old. It's amazing. That you got through that too. As you developed your game, went into high school, obviously were pretty decorated at that point. Were you in the recruitment process in college, and what was that like as a woman in golf? I think it's probably fairly coveted, to have golfers at that level, in ladies golf.
Yeah, good question. I mean, certainly recruiting, I've been on the side of it as an athlete and as a coach now, and it's an interesting process. Kind of, as I alluded to earlier, my rise was, kind of steady, I'll call it. So back when I was being recruited, it was trending younger and younger, and now I know it's trending even younger. So I definitely was not, one of the first kids in my class to be recruited. I did, go on a lot of visits, but I was not one of the athletes that committed as a sophomore or as a freshman even. I believe I waited until the fall of my senior year and had gone on several visits to make my decision to go to William & Mary. Coming from, Mount St. Joseph Academy, it was a really highly successful academic school. So I felt like having a balance of academics and athletics was really important to me. Had a great year at William and Mary, and just kind of realized that, I still wanted the balance, but it wasn't the right fit for me there. And my first year at William and Mary gave me the opportunity to have some looks as a transfer student, and ultimately landed on the University of Maryland, which couldn't have been a better choice for me. There's a driving range, golf course, and short game practice facility right on campus. You can get out of class and walk across the highway and be at the golf course. And for somebody like me that has such a strong work ethic, and I'm not a player that can just show up after not putting a lot of time in and feel confident. I'm somebody that likes to put in the reps in order to feel good. And that was just the perfect fit for me to be able to practice whenever I wanted.
And is there any wait time when you go in the transfer portal? I know for for football and basketball, you'll have a period potentially of a year where you have to sit out. Is that similar in golf?
Yeah. So at least at the time when I transferred, it was at the discretion of my coach. I'm very thankful that he said, I recognize that you're, looking for an opportunity to push yourself and continue to grow on your journey. So I'm not going to require that you sit out a year. I believe he could have, so kudos to him for not requiring that. But he, flat out said to me, I'm not going to hold you back from going to a school with a stronger golf program. So, really appreciate that from his side.
It's amazing.
How was your team at Maryland?
We're really good. And it's been really cool. Obviously, I returned there as a coach for a year, still follow along. So when I was there, we were fairly solid. We had a lot of really strong players. And again, these girls are some of my best friends to this day. So that's been really cool, kind of entering a new phase of our lives. But we were strong. We went to the NCAA regionals my first year there. I think we just missed my last 2 years. But when I went back as a coach, we had the most successful year in history up until that point. And then since leaving, I think every year they've continued to get better and better. I believe they're around top 30 in the country right now. So that's been really cool to follow. It was just awesome returning there as a coach to a place that I love and am so familiar with, and to just kind of help them develop their program, and continuing to follow their success. Their head coach and assistant coach have just done an incredible job with continuing to push that program, and it's been really fun to see.
That's awesome. And you also helped coach at UPenn as well, correct?
Yeah, so I did 1 year as an assistant coach on the women's side at Maryland. Absolutely loved it so much. As all of us are now a little older and in this stage of life with families now. I had gotten engaged in my year at Maryland, and my fiance at the time and I wanted to be in the Philadelphia area. We both have family there. So when I looked to move back to Philadelphia, the opportunity arose for me to be an assistant coach on the men's side, as well as work in athletic administration. I wasn't sure at the time when I moved back if coaching was really kind of my long-term, love and path moving forward. So it was a really neat opportunity to still have my hand in coaching, but also learn athletic administration and kind of spend some time doing both and see where my passion was. And ultimately, I think that really helped me get to where I am today.
That's awesome. Let's go back a little bit to some playing conversation and talk a little bit about the Symetra Tour and what that experience was like, being out there. And, is it the same as, like if playing on the Corn Ferry Tour with the men, and what kind of experiences was that like as far as a competitive side and then the travel side and emotional side of things?
Yeah, good question. And again, thinking back, it feels like a whole other life ago that I lived those experiences, but it was really cool. I had obviously dreamed about being a professional golfer since I was a little girl, and what you dream of is absolutely not, what that everyday experience is like, at least for me. It was really cool to learn a lot about myself in order to be successful out there. I mean, you not only have to work hard and have all your ducks in a row outside of the golf course, but you also really need to have an incredibly strong belief in yourself, which at that level, I mean, the talent and the competition are pretty crazy. So I think I went to first stage of Q school 3 times in 4 years and got through 2 out of 3 times, which I was pretty happy about. Going to Q school with 300 plus women and them taking, top 60 or 80, depending on the year, is really, really nerve wracking. Somehow mentally I was able to compete in Q school pretty well. It can be a really stressful week. Anybody that's been through it or been around the game, I'm sure, can appreciate, you're playing 1 week for your status for the entire following year. And that's a lot of pressure. Back when I was playing, I think it's a little bit improved now on the women's side, but when I was playing, if you didn't have status on what's now the Epson Tour, it was the Symetra Tour then, you were going to have a tough year. The mini tour, situation was not great for women. I think it's since gotten better, but getting that status was key for you to have a place to compete and test your game consistently and have really solid opportunities for improvement the following year. So, getting through Q school twice at the first stage is something I'm really proud of. My experience on what's now the Epson Tour was a lot of ups and downs. I think or at least what I wasn't prepared for is you come from college and being part of a really successful program where I was, fortunate to have 2 coaches that handled everything for us outside of golf. They helped us a lot with golf too, but, booking your hotels, booking your travel, your flights, transportation, meals, everything like that, we didn't have to worry about it. So then right out of college, you transition to being on your own. I drove a 2007 Toyota Corolla all across the country for 4 years, and spent a lot of time in that car by myself. Put a lot of miles on that car, and I think probably what I wasn't super prepared for mentally was just a lot of time by yourself, and just concerns about finances. How am I going to, pay my entry fees next week if I miss the cut? What hotel am I going to stay at? Am I going to miss that family party again? So a lot of things off the golf course, I think I wasn't necessarily prepared for. And I think come as a big hit and a big reality check for many of the players. But it was a really unique experience for me to travel to a lot of places across the country that I never would have gone to if I were not playing on the Symetra Tour. I think at the time, I don't know if this is still true, but their business model was kind of find these small towns that will really embrace the tour and the tournament, because they thought if they went to kind of a major city that maybe the event wouldn't be as popular with other things going on. So we visited a lot of small towns in America that were so happy to have the LPGA Symetra Tour there and really embraced us. I mean, I stayed with so many host families across the country that opened their houses to help us save costs on lodging. So met a ton of incredible people, many that I'm still in touch with to this day. And again, it was just an opportunity looking back for me to learn a lot about myself and know, kind of develop into the person that I am today. And also looking back, realized, there were times that were really hard or really lonely. And I either, was able to get through them with my support system and my faith. And, also learned that, when times are tough and there's a lot of pressure, I'm able to succeed under that pressure as well. So I think a big life learning experience that I can look back and take a lot of positives and learnings from.
I mean, wow, that's incredible. The first thing is I didn't know that the families would take in players in these small towns, and you would, grow and develop these relationships with them. That's pretty amazing, because a lot of people that I've talked to that have traveled the country to try to make it as a touring professional or on a tour have said, it's a lot of lonely nights by myself in a hotel room. So that's a really cool experience that you got to meet all these different people and really see the uniqueness of America and how diverse it is, and and everything that it has to offer. That's really cool. And like you said, I'm sure now, pressure to you nowadays probably is not real pressure, you know, compared to where you were, when you're out on the tour and you have, like you said, having to make that check and, can you afford, next week's entry fee, wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. That's amazing.
Yeah, pressure. I mean, there are different kind of pressures in my job these days, and I appreciate them, but I feel like I'm equipped to handle them well just because of all the experiences that I've had with golf up until this point.
Is that lodging? Is that like an affiliate program through the LPGA? Is that independent? How did you come across that?
Yeah, it's through the volunteers at each host site. So a lot of times it would happen through kind of the Ladies Golf Association at the course that was hosting us. They would come together and just try to gather volunteers. Again, these small towns, a lot of the local people were just really excited to have the tournament there. So it varied from maybe a couple whose children were grown and out of the house to, I can remember staying with several families with little kids that, put signs on my bedroom door, go Emily, make lots of birdies, all kinds of cute stuff. So really just people that felt they had, extra space in their house that they could, host a player or two players or three players for a week and kind of, feel like they were giving back to the tour and helping a player a little bit, both from a financial standpoint and also just from an experience standpoint, to your point, Michael, of not having to stay alone in a hotel another night. So it was, really generous of these families. I'm sure it's something that's still done. And many of the, tour players were utilizing that week in and week out because it really helped.
That's amazing.
Do you have any interesting stories from anyone you stayed with?
Of course I do. I can probably the funniest, and it's even funnier now as a mom, but I remember one day, I think I had probably missed the cut and spent a lot of, late, long hours in the car and showed up somewhere in the middle of America. And I remember, I think I went out and played a practice round because I was probably super annoyed that I had, just missed a cut and was playing terrible. So I go out and get an early practice round and come back and I'm like, I think I'm going to take a nap, pretty tired after the previous week or what have you, which is hilarious now because I couldn't tell you the last time I had the ability to take a nap as a mom. But I remember probably like laid down 10 minutes in, like my door bursts open and I think this family had like 3 little kids and they all came and like jumped in bed with me. And I was like, okay, well, that's not happening, time to play with these kids that were so nice to, afford me some space in their house. But that's probably the funniest memory looking back is I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to go get some rest. And, these kids had other plans. They were so excited to have a guest in their house.
Like, a glimpse into the future is what that was.
Totally. I can totally see it happening now too. My son would, not be able to leave a house guest alone. So it's all good.
How old are your boys now?
Almost 3, and the baby is about 7 months.
Oh, wow. Okay. So,
yeah.
So no, maybe the 3-year-old swinging a wrench a little bit, but no big time golf yet happening in the house.
The 3-year-old's really into it, actually. He's got 6 clubs. the real ones, not the plastic ones. He got rid of the plastic ones pretty early. He actually would prefer my clubs or my husband's clubs, like the bigger the better, even though he could never hit them. His swing has progressively gotten worse with age. He's real John Daly right now, and he's cross-handed, but he loves it. Any opportunity that he gets, he's asking me to take him to the range. He calls the USGA mom's golf work. So a lot of times when I'm taking him to school in the morning, he's like, Mama, can I come to your golf work? He remembers coming here, and there was, I think, a week he was sick last summer. I had to bring him into the office a couple days with me, and there's a simulator in the basement here at Golf House. So he remembers, mom's golf work is really fun. So he actually loves it. We'll see, how much that continues, but like I said earlier, if it's something we can do as a family on future vacations and throughout the summer, that would be a win for me.
I love that you guys give him the bigger the better the clubs, although it'll turn into a weapon once a little brother gets mobile.
It already has.
Yeah. That I was always fascinated with. I don't know if anybody remembers these videos, but Rory McIlroy, when he was a kid, I think he was hitting balls into the dryer, but he was doing it with a full size club, and he was whatever 8 years old, and I couldn't believe that he was able to handle an adult club like that at such a young age. So I think that's something. Yeah, let them get used to the weight of that thing, and then when they're big, it's nothing.
Who knows? As long as he enjoys it, I'll keep bringing him to the golf course whenever I can. But for now, it's fun, and we just try to keep it that way for sure.
That's great.
So what is the director of championship administration at the USGA?
That's a great question. So our team of 8, the championship administration team, oversees all of the in-house administration for our 15 national championships. To kind of go a little bit deeper into what that is, we manage the exemption process, the application window, trying to, boost our entries, but also make sure we get all of our exempt players in the field to make our fields as strong as they are. We work really closely with the allied golf associations that conduct USGA qualifiers. So monitoring those qualifying windows. We oversee the alternate process as well, and ultimately deliver the final field for each championship. So the 3 championships that I personally oversee from an administrative side are the U.S. Women's Open, the U.S. Senior Women's Open, and the U.S. Adaptive Open, which playing a small part in the Women's Open and the Senior Women's Open has been incredibly rewarding for me, as the Women's Open was always, what I strived to qualify for as a competitor every year. Never did, but it was always, the pinnacle of women's golf for me growing up as an American golfer. And then on the other side, for the Senior Women's Open, getting to watch players that I have admired since I was a young girl has been really incredible. And then our Adaptive Open is our newest championship for golfers with disabilities. This is our first year in 2024 that we've had qualifying for the Adaptive Open, which just started this week. So it's been just an incredible opportunity. I feel like I get to combine my administrative skill set with my passion for the game of golf, and doing that at the championship level at the USGA. I, again, feel like I'm living my dream job every day, and I'm excited and passionate about coming to work every day.
Sorry, Tyler, I thought you had a question. Man, that's incredible. I mean, the USGA is our oldest golf association in America as well. And I've never been to the Golf House. I've heard incredible stories about it. How much history is at your place of employment as well?
Yeah, great question. Well, I can't believe that you've never been to Golf House, being so close in the Philadelphia area. We'll have to get you out here. We have the USGA museum right next to our administrative office building, which I believe is the oldest sports museum in the country. It's a really, really cool piece of history, and we'll have to get you out here to check it out. It's incredible, the artifacts that are in there. As we're all golfers, I think we could all appreciate the history, which helps us think about the future. But I could spend days just going through the museum with all the history and the artifacts that are in there. And it's incredible to have that a chip shot away from where my desk is.
Where is that located for our listeners?
Yeah, so it's in Liberty Corner, New Jersey, and the museum, I think, has hours Monday through Saturday. I would have to check that out, but certainly a really incredible place for anybody who appreciates golf and the game of golf. Obviously, we're a sport that's rich in tradition, but I think for anybody that has an appreciation for sports in general, it's a fantastic museum to check out. And again, as a golf nerd myself, could spend a lot of time there, and it's just awesome.
Going back to championship administration, so I played in a U.S. Open qualifier before,
Great.
and when my round was over, a few weeks later, I received a letter from the USGA telling me that I was not allowed to play in another one for, I believe it was 2 years. Could you explain to our listeners what that is and why I received that letter?
Absolutely. Well, I would have to go back and look at your specific situation. My guess would be that you violated the performance policy, which we do have in effect for many of our championships. Basically, just want to make sure that the qualifying experience is positive for all involved, both players and the allied golf associations that are conducting qualifying, which is why we have the regulations in order for players to be eligible. The handicap index requirement for all of our championships and things like that. So my guess would be that you didn't have your best day. Probably shot a certain number of strokes above the course rating, which would trigger our performance policy, but would have to go back and look. And I would guess that it hasn't happened to you since, because I know you're a very strong player, and maybe there were some conditions or something that day that caused that to happen. But again, just want to make sure that qualifying is an overwhelmingly positive experience for all involved.
Yeah, so what I had to do was provide information to prove that I could shoot a lower score than what I shot that day, which I find very interesting. That that's all I had to do to be able to play in it the following year. Um,
Yeah,
Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say it's very clear, and we actually have updated our performance policy for 2024, which is fully laid out on our championship applications website. But it's very clear, what scores you need to provide, and kind of what level of competition you need to compete in order to provide those scores. I would say, for most people that, likely just had a tough day and triggered a performance violation, or, at least they have the clarity on what they need to do in order to remove that violation. And sounds like you were able to do so, and have since been able to compete in our qualifiers, which is great.
So what happens when you get to the next level? So, you have the local, then you have the sectional qualifying for US Open. So when you get to sectional qualifying, and let's just say you have two really bad rounds in one day, and let's say a player shoots 85. Do they get that same letter or no, because
Yeah,
they're in
so
sectional qualifying?
no, it would apply, and we call it final qualifying now. But
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. The violations apply the same for local and final qualifying. And again, fortunately, I wouldn't say they happen too often, and would have to go back and now I'm going to pull up your case and see what I can find. But we feel confident that we've outlined a clear strategy and pathway for players to clear those violations if they're able to do so. So hopefully that was your case as well.
Like
Yes,
80,
I shot 81 and I got a letter for shooting 81.
81, 85, guys, I think we need to relax a little. Like those are pretty solid rounds, I think, especially if you're playing 2 days in a row or 36 in the same day. I think those are pretty good rounds.
I get it. I believe it's typically 12 shots over the course rating, but would have to go back and look at your specific instance there.
Yeah, that's just what I remember from it. So I do have a question for you because I met this individual at an event in Philadelphia for GAP, and the CEO of the USGA, Mike Wan, is that how I say his last name? I
Absolutely.
met him at an event, and he seems like he is a very good person and a very good person to work for as well, and have as a leader in an organization. I don't want to put you on the spot by any means at all, but is he as cool as he seems like he is when he's in these group environments?
Absolutely. And I don't feel put on the spot at all. I think, I speak on behalf of myself and likely, many employees at the USGA as well, that he is a fantastic leader. He is in our building all the time and I think knows everybody's name. He has nicknames for most of us as well, which is fun. But he is just a wonderful leader. His passion for the game of golf and for all that the USGA does is just really evident. And I think we're all, motivated to be on his team. He really does promote us as a team, refers to all of us as teammates throughout the building. And I truly feel he's a wonderful leader, and I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to work for him and to learn from him as well.
That's great. He is, to me, he's one of the good people in the game of golf, and he seems to make all the right decisions. And anytime you hear him talk, it's just it's always very impressive. So very fortunate to work for him
Yeah, I would
or with
agree. And
him.
I
Sorry,
think
not for him, with him. Sorry.
yeah, for him. But I think, he does a great job of outlining our values and reminding us of the values and our mission at the USGA. And every decision he makes, I think he does it for the good of the game of golf. And we truly are all inspired and thankful to have him as our leader.
So Emily,
That's awesome.
I know when some people get into golf in terms of line of work, you golf a little less than anticipated. Now, I don't think anything compares to playing on a tour or, and the volume, but how often are you able to play now? Obviously we understand kids aside, they eat up into that. I'd say with every kid I've had, they handicap goes up. So is that something that is frequented? Do you get to play for work? Is it, testing out some of the courses maybe?
Yeah, good question. In all honesty, I'm not playing very much these days, but it's, it's a personal, choice or what have it. I'd like to get back into playing more. As Michael knows, obviously I've taken a couple lessons this year, and I got my amateur status back a few years ago. So I think when my oldest son was about a year old, I said, I've gotten my amateur status back. I'm going to compete a little bit. And, I've just kind of taken the same passion that I've had for the game and the strong work ethic and taken that into my work. So I would say about a year into my role where I am now, I'm still kind of learning and putting as much time as I can into learning and developing our team. But certainly hopeful that I'll start playing some more golf in the next few years. I am signed up to play the women's GAP team matches for manufacturers this year. My family were members at manufacturers, so looking forward to kind of easing back into competitive golf that way. I think my younger sister and I are planning to play the Pennsylvania women's floorball. I would like to try to qualify for the U.S. women's mid amateur at some point. Michael knows that. But again, it's, I shared earlier, I'm not the kind of person that can just kind of show up to the first tee and, not have hit balls for 2 weeks and feel good. It's just my personality and my approach to things. So it'll be hard until I feel like I have some more time to dedicate. And right now, I'm pretty much working or, spending time with my kids, which is obviously the most important thing to me. So we'll get back to it slowly but surely.
That's how it happens. And you have, you said you have 2 younger siblings, right? Is it a sister and a brother or 2 sisters?
I have a sister and a brother. So my brother's in the middle and wants nothing to do with golf. Which is funny. And then my sister is the youngest. We're about 10 years apart, and she currently plays collegiately at Florida Southern. So a strong golfer as well. And we're looking forward to teeing it up together in the PA 4-ball this summer.
Yeah, I think you just put everybody on notice, so watch out.
Well, I'm going to need her to carry me because I'm not sure how many rounds I'll get in between now and then. But it'll be fun. Again, when I have a partner, I can, have a double bogey and not worry about it if she's carrying me. So easing back into competitive golf.
So I have 2 questions as we're going to wrap this up. The first question is this: how does it feel when you're on the range and you're hitting balls and you have every person watching you hit golf balls because of how impressive it is when you hit?
Yeah, good question. Honestly, it's not something that I think about at all. Whether it's all the experiences that I've been through or now just being a mom. I mean, I maybe just don't have time to worry about what people are thinking, but when I'm there, it's kind of rare that I get the opportunity to hit golf balls. So I'm usually just enjoying every moment or really focused on what I'm trying to work on in my golf swing. So I would say it's not something that I notice or am concerned about at all. I'm just trying to get a little bit better and enjoy the moment and soak it in. If you would have told me, when I was competing on the Symetra Tour that there would be a day where, I would just absolutely love to have an hour on the driving range and it would be the highlight of, a 2-week stretch or something, I probably would have laughed or not believed you. But now I'm sure both of you can appreciate as parents yourselves, any time that you get to yourself. And, as a former competitive golfer, anytime I get, whether it's a half hour to hit golf balls, it's fun and enjoyable. And I'm thankful for those moments as rare as they are these days.
So the members at manufacturers, they leave you alone for the most part. They don't walk over and ask you questions or say, "Hey, can you help me with my swing?" or "What do you think about what I'm doing?" Things like that.
No, I mean, again, it's pretty rare that I get the opportunity to do that.
Okay.
But everybody is super friendly and welcoming. I mean, maybe it helps that I didn't grow up there, so probably, not everybody knows my full background or story. So they might just think, that's a girl on the range that has a decent swing. Last summer and a few summers ago, I was obviously very pregnant on the driving range, so they were probably like, there's that pregnant girl on the range again. But I would say anytime I'm there, and maybe it's just a mindset shift, but I'm happy to be there and happy, anybody that comes over to talk, I'm happy to talk because I'm in the moment and enjoying it. So maybe just a shift in perspective as I've gotten older and life circumstances have changed. But thankful for any moment that I get at the golf course these days.
Love it. And then the second question is, what advice would you have for any young girl or anyone that's looking to play golf competitively for a living?
Ooh, for a living. Wow. Good question. I mean, first, I think would just be, if you set your mind to it, you can do it. I think, anybody that works hard can achieve anything that they put their mind to. So that would be my message. I, again, have come from a family and circumstances that have instilled that belief in me. When I think about it outside of golf or outside of competitive golf, when I think about, interviewing for a job, kind of going in there with confidence and knowing that you can do it. That would probably be my advice. And if we're thinking specifically for doing it for a living, I would just, want them to think about all the other things outside of golf that go into being able to do that, and just really, evaluating if that's the lifestyle for them, because it's not easy, but again, for me, it's been really rewarding, and being able to look back on those opportunities is something that gives me a lot of gratitude and confidence moving forward.
Tyler, do you have any final thoughts or questions?
I don't. I mean, it's been amazing getting to know you. I appreciate how transparent and candid you've been through the whole process. And I think again, it's neat to see it go full circle, right? In how involved you were in the game, and how ultimately how that's kind of manifested itself into a career, even though you're not playing as much as you used to. I mean, that's what this podcast is about. It's it's really how golf has shaped our lives, how it impacts what we do, and our careers have a lot to do with what we do every day, whether it's in golf or not. But it's awesome to see where it's brought you, from building sandcastles in the bunker to to here you are.
Working at the USGA.
It's been a very cool journey, and I'm thankful for every moment, and it's gotten me to where I am career wise, and again has been a big personal place of enjoyment, again with meeting my husband through golf, and now seeing my little toddler love it as well. So it's a game that's given me a lot, and I'll forever be thankful and want to share those experiences with others as well.
That's awesome. Well, you've inspired me. You gave me goosebumps a couple times here in this conversation. So I appreciate that very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to continue to get to know you even more. And all the best to you in all of your journeys moving forward, with golf, with life, with family, and everything. And I look forward to seeing you soon. And thank you for being on our podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it, and I need to book a lesson soon to get back to practicing. So we'll look forward to seeing you hopefully soon.
Absolutely. All right, Emily, thank you so much.
Guys.
Thanks.